how is Texas going to attack Georgia? Because that, to me, is going to dictate the outcome of this game. If Texas can score and, just quite frankly, take advantage of the Georgia secondary, which has proven to have some holes, they're going to win the football game, right? That's pretty straightforward. So how is this going to look from a gameplay perspective? I'm not in the building. I'm not sitting in quarterback meetings. I don't have the play diagrams. Like, I'm not dialed in like that. But I do watch a lot of college football, much like you, and play the sport and have, I think, a pretty good feel as to what I would expect the attack to be on the Texas side of things offensively. So, one, make sure you're subscribed. College football, nothing but college football all year round. Analysis like this, game predictions, recruiting talk, like it's college football for college football sickos. Not just during the season, year round. So appreciate you being dialed in. Love y'all. I think the Texas plan against Georgia will be a similar flavor to what we saw them do against Michigan. Because we came into that game against Michigan when we broke it down for Texas on that side of things. I was like, listen, I think Michigan, as good as they are on defense, Fresno State was hucking rocks, man. Did they connect on all of them? No, but they had some matchups that they won. And that was what Texas did early on. I thought, hey, maybe Texas is going to run the football a little bit. No, it was throw to run. So I think early on, Sark has proven he likes his matchups. When he has them, he will go after them. So don't expect this whole set them up, give it to Trey Wisner and pound, early on. Like, I think they'll want to run the football in this game. But this, to me, is a lot about attacking vertically. Do not be surprised if we see them taking shots like the Pitbull song early on. I think that's Pitbull. Don't be surprised if that happens, all right? That is very much so, I believe, in the bag and in the opportunities there for Steve Sarkisian and for Quinn Ewers. So that'll happen, especially if you get to third and passing, which, as good as this Georgia front is, could definitely be something that happens early on in the game. In addition to that, what we saw against Michigan was a lot of eye candy, a lot of motions, a lot of shifts, which Steve Sarkisian just does. That's his bag. But then he also has the horizontal passing game looped into that. Like, you saw a lot of bubble motions, and then you got Isaiah Bond on a tunnel screen. We'll see what the injury report is tonight. So we're recording this, or obviously we're live right now on a Wednesday. We'll see what that is tonight. It sounds like they feel good about Isaiah Bond from what I can gauge. So, going back to what I was just saying, a lot of horizontal passing game, a lot of horizontal movement. It could be some jet sweeps as well, some perimeter run game. What does that do? It forces you as a defense to have to chase me. That's a net positive. We'd like to pick up yards. I think they will pick up yards that way. But when we're going, east and west, and those big boys in the perimeter got to do the pursuit drill for a couple of plays in a row, guess what happens? They get tired. And so if those vertical shots are hitting, and if you're able to have the success in the horizontal game, one, we're nervous about the pass as a defense. Two, we're worn out up front. So then what happens? If you're not watching right now, if you're listening on podcast, I am putting hand to fist, and that is what Texas will try to do to Georgia. They'll try to get downhill. I think it'll still have some window dressing. I think it'll still have a little bit of, something to try and throw off that second level of the defense and get them displaced. But overall, it is going to be, we're coming downhill at you. Can you handle us for 3 plays in a row? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it was pass to run, like I just mentioned early on. That's, I think, who they ultimately want to be at the end of this football game. Because if you got Steve Sarkisian with some truth serum in him, yes, he's a quarterback whisperer. Yes, they're going to want to throw the football. But I think if you really got an honest answer from him, he wants to run the football until you stop. Until you stop it. Like, he wants to be able to punch you in the mouth, play after play after play, until you prove that you can stop it. And also, I'll say this too, the strength of this offense, as much as you talk about the skill players and the quarterback, you can make an argument for it being the offensive line. Like, what they are up front, the way they imposed their will on that Oklahoma defense that I believe is a really good unit with a lot of NFL players, Danny Stutzman being an NFL linebacker, that showed me something. I think they'll try to go back to that, and I know that's who they want to be, I think, at the end of the game when it comes to how this thing is going to turn out. So to put it simply here, end of the third quarter, fourth quarter, Texas wants to lean on you, have you worn out, have some points on the board to play with when it comes to a lead, and then they want to take the life out of you. They're not Michigan in that sense, because Michigan was kind of, we're going to lean on you for all 4 quarters. But the great teams, the championship teams, they have that in the bag. When we get to the end of the third quarter, end of the fourth quarter, end of the, beginning of the fourth quarter, we can then just start to squeeze, start to apply pressure. What different analysts will call it that I've heard across the country is boa constrict you. That's who they want to be. All right, they want to just put you in the Khabib headlock and say, tap out, tap out. I think Texas is going to try to do that against Georgia. Can they do it? Remains to be seen. But if they're able to do it, it's going to be on the shoulders of Quinn Ewers. We mentioned in an earlier segment, there's enormous pressure on that guy because of what this game plan, I think, will require of him. A big reason why we know Texas beat Bama last year in Tuscaloosa, what happened? Yes, they created matchups. Yes, Alabama wasn't able to match up well enough in the secondary, and you got three NFL wide receivers for Texas at that point in time, plus the NFL tight end, so that helps. They hit the open shot. When there's money on the table against the elite teams in college football, with Kirby Smart on the other sideline and Glenn Schumann calling the defense, you cannot leave money on the table. And Texas didn't against Alabama. That has to be the case in this game. Quinn Ewers, a little rusty last game, can't have it. Whatever you got to do, I don't know what you would use to knock rust off of a tool, but you got to use that for this game, okay? Get it all off, get ready to roll, and be dialed in. Because if you can be dialed in downfield, everything else from that point, I believe, will open up. I said it again. This Georgia secondary is gettable. I think Sark will go after them. Once they go after them and also have some horizontal pass game, get you worn out, get you running back and forth, then you run the ball, you impose your will, and I think that's who Steve Sarkisian wants to be. So the PrizePicks square that we love this weekend, we're all about it, all over it. Quinn Ewers, his pass yard total is set at 255.5. Go ahead and take the more there. I mentioned Bama, I mentioned Mississippi State. They both had more than that against this Georgia secondary. I'd be surprised if they did not come out swinging their sword, rest in peace Mike Leach, in this football game. So use code HARDCOUNT, $5 in lineup, $50 in promo funds when you use that code. And again, we love that square. We've been hot right now. Interns seem to be setting the lines over at prizepicks.com. So let's ride this thing out together, all right?